They say blood is thicker than water. That family is everything. That siblings are supposed to protect each other, support each other, stand by each other through everything. My name is Zainab, and this is the story of how my own siblings stole my inheritance while our father was dying. How they thought I was too weak to fight back, and how I proved them devastatingly wrong. It started in March 2019. My father, Haji Mahmud Khan, fell seriously ill. He was 72 years old, a successful property dealer in Islamabad who'd built an empire over 40 years. He owned multiple commercial properties, residential plots, and a construction business worth over 200 crore rupees. I was 32 years old, the eldest of 4 children. After me came my brother Salman, 30 years old. Then my sister Rabia, 28. And the youngest, my brother Faisal, 25. Growing up, I was always the responsible one. The caretaker. The one who looked after everyone. When our mother passed away in 2010 from cancer, I was 23. I put my life on hold to manage the household, take care of my father, help raise my younger siblings. I'd gotten my MBA from Nest in 2009, had job offers from multinational companies. But I stayed home because family needed me. I managed my father's properties, handled tenant issues, kept books, dealt with legal matters. I became his right hand. My father always said I was his favorite. Not because he loved the others less, but because I'd sacrificed the most. Beta, everything I have will be divided fairly among all 4 of you. But you'll get extra because you've earned it. You've given up your life for this family. He'd promised me this multiple times. Even had it written in a will prepared in 2015. I would get 40% of the estate. The other 3 would split the remaining 60% equally, getting 20% each. It was fair. Just a recognition of my contribution and sacrifice. My siblings knew about it, and for years they seemed okay with it. But when money is involved, when billions of rupees are at stake, family loyalty means nothing. On March 15, 2019, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer. The doctors gave him 6 months to a year, maybe less. The news devastated all of us. But it also changed something in my siblings. I saw it in their eyes, in the way they started looking at the properties, at the business, at everything that would soon be inherited. Greed. Pure, undisguised greed. Salman, who'd never been interested in the family business, suddenly started asking detailed questions. Abu, which properties are in whose name? How much is each worth? What about the business assets? Rabia, who'd always been sweet and kind, became calculating. Abu, have you updated your will recently? Is everything clear and legal? Even Faisal, the baby of the family who I'd practically raised, started acting strange. Distant. Secretive. Always on phone calls that would stop when I entered the room. I dismissed my suspicions, told myself I was being paranoid, that grief makes people act strange, that they were just worried about practicalities. I was wrong. They weren't worried about practicalities. They were planning. My father's condition deteriorated quickly. By May 2019, he was bedridden, on heavy medications, in and out of consciousness. I was his primary caretaker, fed him, changed his clothes, sat with him through painful nights. My siblings would visit, briefly, make shows of concern. But they never stayed long, never helped with the actual care, just asked about his condition and left. On June 10, 2019, something happened that should have alarmed me. My father asked for his lawyer, Mr. Rashid Qureshi, to visit urgently. I need to update some documents. He mumbled through the pain. Important papers. I called Mr. Qureshi immediately. He said he'd come the next morning, June 11th. But that night Salman volunteered to stay with our father. Appy, you've been up for days. Get some rest. I'll take care of Abu tonight. I was exhausted, grateful. I went to my room and fell asleep immediately. I didn't know that would be the biggest mistake of my life. The next morning, June 11th, 2019, I woke up at 8 a.m. Went to check on my father. Salman was there looking fresh. Too fresh for someone who'd supposedly been up all night caring for a sick man. How was the night? I asked. Abu slept well. Actually, he was very alert around 5 a.m. We had a long talk. About what? Family stuff? Private father-son conversation. Something felt off. But before I could question further, Mr. Qureshi arrived. He looked at me strangely. Zainab Beta, I'm surprised you called me again so soon. What do you mean again? I called you yesterday for the first time in months. No, I was here at 5 a.m. this morning. Your brother Salman called me last night saying your father wanted to see me urgently. I came early morning. My stomach dropped. What? Your father signed some documents, updated his will. Didn't he tell you? No. What documents? Mr. Qureshi looked uncomfortable. I'm sorry, but that's confidential between client and lawyer. Your father was of sound mind when he signed. That's all I can say. That after he left, I confronted Salman. What did you do? What documents did Abu sign? He updated his will, made it more equitable. That's all. Equitable. What does that mean? It means the 40% you were getting was unfair. We're all his children. We should inherit equally, 5% each. I felt like I'd been slapped. You manipulated him. He's drugged, in pain, barely conscious. You waited until I was asleep and brought a lawyer at 5 a.m. We didn't manipulate anyone. We just helped him see fairness. You're not special, Zainab. You don't deserve more than us. I gave up my life for this family. For all of you. While you were partying and living your lives, I was here managing everything. That was your choice. Nobody asked you to sacrifice. Now we're all equal. I wanted to scream, to fight, but my father was dying. I couldn't stress him with family drama. So I swallowed my anger and focused on taking care of him. But I started watching, paying attention, and what I saw terrified me. Over the next few weeks from June to July 2019, I noticed a pattern. My siblings were systematically taking control of everything. Salman started handling business matters. Abu asked me to manage things since you're busy with his care. Properties that were in my father's name started getting transferred. Just legal restructuring for tax purposes. Rabia took over the financial accounts. Someone needs to handle expenses. You have enough on your plate. Bank statements stopped coming to the house. I'm getting them digitally now. More efficiency. Who'd been studying in Lahore, suddenly moved back to Islamabad. Started accompanying Salman to property visits and business meetings. I need to learn the family business. They were forming an alliance. Against me. I could feel it. But I had no proof, nothing concrete, just a sick feeling in my gut. On July 20, 2019, I decided to check something. I went to the property registration office in Islamabad, asked to see records of our family properties. What I found made my blood run cold. 7 properties that had been in my father's name were now in Salman's name. Transfer date June 15, 2019. 4 days after the mysterious will change. 3 properties were now in Rabia's name. Transfer date June 18, 2019. 2 properties were in Faisal's name. Transferred in 2019. Properties worth over 60 crore rupees had been transferred out of my father's name in less than 2 weeks. While he was dying, while I was focused on caring for him, I rushed home, found Salman in the study. You're transferring properties. Behind my back, while Abu is dying, he didn't even look guilty. We're protecting family assets. Estate tax planning. You wouldn't understand. You're not a business person. I've been managing these properties for 10 years. Don't tell me I don't understand business. Things have changed, Zainab. You need to accept that. You're not in charge anymore. Does Abu know about this? He signed the transfer document, with full knowledge. He's drugged and dying. He doesn't know what he's signing. That's your opinion. Legally, he's competent. Now get out of my way. I have work to do. I went to my father's room. He was sleeping, his breathing labored. I sat beside him and cried. The family I'd sacrificed everything for was destroying me. And the man who'd promised to protect me was too sick to help. My father passed away on August 15, 2019. At 3 a.m., I was holding his hand. My siblings were asleep in their rooms. They hadn't stayed up with him even on his final night. His last words to me were barely audible. Beta. I'm sorry. They convinced me. Forgive me. Abu, what are you saying? Forgive you for what? But he couldn't answer. He closed his eyes and never opened them again. The funeral was on August 16th. Hundreds of people came. Business associates, friends, family. Everyone praised my father, talked about his success, his generosity, his legacy. Nobody talked about how that legacy was being stolen. On August 20th, 4 days after the funeral, we had the will reading. Mr. Qureshi came to the house with the latest version, the one signed on June 11th at 5 a.m. As per Haji Mahmud Khan's last will and testament, dated June 11th, 2019, the estate is to be divided as follows: 25% to each of the 4 children, all equally. I felt numb. The 40% I'd been promised was gone, reduced to 25%, but I'd expected that after learning about the June 11th changes. Then Mr. Qureshi continued. However, several properties have already been transferred to the children prior to death. These transfers are considered advances on inheritance and will be deducted from each person's share. He listed the properties, 12 properties worth 60 crore rupees. All to Salman, Rabia and Faisal. Nothing to me. I said. Those properties were transferred when Abu was sick. Manipulated. They shouldn't count. They're legal transfers, Mr. Qureshi said. Signed by your father. Properly registered, they stand. So what's left to divide? The remaining properties, the business, and liquid assets. Total value approximately 90 crore rupees. 25% to each child means 22.5 crore each. I did the quick math. My siblings had already gotten 60 crores in property transfers. Now they'd each get another 22.5 crores. Total for them 105 crores to split. I'd get only 22.5 crores. Out of a total estate worth 150 crores, they'd stolen over 100 crores from me. And done it legally. Salman, Rabia, and Faisal were smiling, satisfied. They'd won. Or so they thought. I didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't break down. I just sat there, processing what had been done to me. How I'd been betrayed by the people I'd sacrificed everything for. After everyone left, I went to my room, locked the door, and started planning. On August 25, 2019, I hired a lawyer. Not Mr. Qureshi, who was clearly in my sibling's pocket. A different lawyer, one of Pakistan's top litigation experts, Mrs. Farzana Malik. I met her at her office in Blue Area, Islamabad on August 26, told her everything. She listened carefully, took notes, asked pointed questions. Do you have any proof that your father was coerced or wasn't of sound mind when he signed these documents? He was on heavy medication, in pain. My brother manipulated him at 5 a.m. when I was asleep. That's not proof. That's suspicion. We need evidence. What kind of evidence? Medical records showing he wasn't mentally competent. Testimony from doctors or nurses. Video or audio of the manipulation. Bank records showing suspicious transactions. Anything concrete? Over the next month from September to October 2019 I investigated, and what I found was more damning than I'd imagined. I got my father's medical records from the hospital. They showed he'd been prescribed high doses of morphine and sedatives in June. Medications that cause confusion, disorientation, and impaired judgment. I interviewed his nurses. One of them, Nazreen, told me something shocking. On June 11th, early morning, your brother gave your father extra medication before the lawyer came. Said it was for pain. But it made him very drowsy and confused. I got bank statements. They showed large withdrawals in June and July. Money my father supposedly authorized but would never have approved if he'd been thinking clearly. Most importantly, I found something my siblings didn't know existed. Our house had security cameras, including one in the hallway outside my father's room. With audio, I reviewed the footage from June 11th and there it was. At 4:30 a.m. I could hear Salman talking to our father. The conversation was clear. Abu, the lawyer is coming. You need to sign these papers. It's about making things fair for all of us. Zainab has been controlling everything. She's taking advantage of you. My father's weak voice. But I promised her. She sacrificed. She's manipulating you, Abu. Making you feel guilty. All of us are your children. We should be equal. You want to be fair, don't you? I don't know. I'm tired. Just sign the papers when the lawyer comes. Trust me, it's the right thing. I had everything. Proof of manipulation. Proof of diminished mental capacity. Proof of betrayal. On October 15, 2019, I filed a lawsuit against all three of my siblings, challenging the will, challenging the property transfers, demanding everything be reversed and distributed according to the original 2015 will. The news exploded in Islamabad's business community. Haji Mahmood's children in legal battle. Sisters sue siblings over inheritance. Property empire in dispute. My siblings were shocked. They thought I'd just accept the theft. Move on. Be the obedient sister who never makes waves. Salman called me on October 16th. What are you doing? This is family business. You're embarrassing us publicly? You stole from me, from your own sister, after I gave up everything for you. We didn't steal anything. Abu made his decision. Abu was manipulated by you, at 5 a.m., while drugged, and I have proof. The line went silent. Then, what proof? Come to court and find out. The first hearing was on November 5, 2019 at the Islamabad High Court. My lawyer presented everything. The medical records, the nurse's testimony, the bank statements, and most devastatingly the security camera footage. When the court played that audio of Salman manipulating our dying father, you could hear gasps in the courtroom. My sibling's lawyer tried to object, but the judge allowed it as evidence. This is extremely concerning, the judge said. I'm ordering a full investigation. Until resolved, all property transfers are frozen. No assets can be sold or transferred. My siblings' faces went white. Everything they'd stolen was now locked, inaccessible, useless, and over the next 3 months from November 29 to January 20, the case gained momentum. More evidence emerged, more witnesses testified. It became increasingly clear that my siblings had committed fraud. Their lawyer advised them to settle. You're going to lose. The evidence is overwhelming. The best you can do is negotiate terms. On January 15, 2020, they requested a settlement meeting. We met at a mediator's office in F7 Islamabad. Salman looked defeated. Rabia was crying. Faisal couldn't meet my eyes. What do you want? Salman asked quietly. I want what Abu originally promised me. 40% of the entire estate. You three split the remaining 60%, and I want a public apology for what you did. 40% of 150 crores is 60 crores. That's more than any of us individually. Yes. Because I earned it. Because I sacrificed for it. Because it was promised to me before you stole it. We can't afford that. The properties are leveraged. Businesses have debts. If we give you 60 crores liquid, we'll have to sell everything. That's your problem. You should have thought about that before committing fraud. Rabia spoke up. Zainab, please. We're sorry. We were greedy. We made a mistake. But you're our sister. Don't destroy us. You destroyed me first. You betrayed me while Abu was dying. While I was caring for him, you're not my family. You're thieves. We negotiated for hours back and forth. Finally, we reached an agreement that I could accept. I would get 45% of the estate. Slightly more than originally promised. 67.5 crores. They'd split the remaining 55%, each getting 27.5 crores. Additionally, they'd publicly acknowledge their wrongdoing, issue a statement to the community admitting they'd manipulated our father. The settlement was signed on January 30, 2020. February to June 2020 was spent untangling the mess my siblings had created, reversing property transfers, restructuring the business, properly valuing assets. On June 15, 2020, the final distribution was completed. I received my 45%, properties worth 50 crores, business shares worth 12 crores, cash and liquid assets worth 5.5 crores, total 67.5 crores. I was one of the wealthiest single women in Islamabad. My siblings each got their shares, significant less than what they'd tried to steal, reduced further by legal fees and penalties. On June 20th, as required by the settlement, they issued a public statement. It was published in Dawn and other major newspapers. Whip, Salman Khan, Rabia Khan and Faisal Khan acknowledge that we acted improperly in obtaining property transfers and will modifications from our late father during his final illness. We manipulated him during a period of diminished capacity. We apologize to our sister Zainab Khan for this betrayal. The matter has been resolved legally and all rightful inheritance has been returned. Their reputations in Islamabad's business community were destroyed. Nobody wanted to work with people who thoughted their own dying father and sister. Salman's construction business struggled. Clients left. Contracts cancelled. Rabia's social standing collapsed. She was excluded from events, gatherings, society functions. Faisal couldn't find a respectable job. The family name was tainted by their actions. Meanwhile, I rebuilt, expanded the property biz amid smart investments. By December 2020, my 45% was worth more than the entire original estate had been worth. In March 2021, almost 2 years after my father's death, Rabia reached out. Can we meet? Please, just to talk. I agreed. We met at a cafe in F7 on March 10, 2021. She looked older, tired. The spark that used to be in her eyes was gone. Thank you for meeting me, she said quietly. What do you want? Rio? Apologize. Really apologize. Not the public statement that lawyers wrote. A real apology from sister to sister. Go ahead. We were wrong. Horribly, unforgivably wrong. You gave up everything for us, raised us, took care of Abu, managed the business, and we repaid you with betrayal. I hate myself for what we did. Then why did you do it? And she was quiet for a moment. Greed. Jealousy. We resented that you were getting more. We convinced ourselves it was unfair, that you were manipulating Abu, that we deserved equal shares. We lied to ourselves until we believed it. And now we've lost more than money. We've lost our reputation, our relationships, our integrity, and most painfully, we've lost you, our sister. The one person who actually loved us. I felt something soften slightly, but not enough. What do you want from me? Forgiveness, not reconciliation. I know we can never go back, but I need to know that someday maybe you won't hate us anymore. I don't hate you, Rabia. Hate requires caring. Nothing. You're strangers to me now. That's worse than hate, she whispered. Yes, it is. But that's what you chose when you chose greed over family. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Understand, I just wanted you to know. We're sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. After she left, I sat there for a long time, thinking about family, about betrayal, about forgiveness. I'd forgiven them legally, accepted the settlement, moved on with my life. But emotionally, I wasn't sure I'd ever forgive them. Some betrayals are too deep, too cruel, too calculated. It's now November 2024, 5 years after my father's death, almost 5 years since the betrayal. I've built an empire from my inheritance, expanded into real estate development, created a property management company, invested in startups. My net worth is now over 120 crores. I've also found peace, not with my siblings but with myself. I've let go of the anger, the hurt, the sense of injustice. I've accepted that some people, even family, will betray you if the price is right. My siblings? Salman's business recovered somewhat, but he'll never reach the heights he could have. Rabia got married last year, lives a quiet life. Faisal works for someone else, never achieved his potential. We don't speak. We're not enemies, but we're not family. We're just people who share blood and a painful history. People ask if I regret fighting them, if I should have just accepted the theft and maintained family peace. My answer is always the same. Family peace built on injustice isn't peace. It's submission. It's teaching people they can abuse you without consequences. I don't regret standing up for myself. I don't regret taking back what was mine. I don't regret showing them that I wasn't the weak, compliant sister they'd taken for granted. So what did I learn from having my inheritance stolen by my own siblings? I learned that sacrifice doesn't guarantee loyalty. I'd given up years of my life for them, and they repaid me with betrayal the moment it benefited them. I learned that family title doesn't equal family behavior. Being siblings by blood doesn't mean people will act like siblings when money is involved. I learned that documentation is everything. Without that security footage, without medical records, without concrete proof, I'd have lost everything. I learned that fighting back is necessary. They counted on me being too nice, too family-oriented, too scared of conflict to sue. They were wrong. Most importantly, I learned that taking back what's yours isn't revenge. It's justice. They tried to frame it as a greedy sister fighting her siblings. But I wasn't fighting for more than I deserved. I was fighting to get back what they'd stolen. My siblings stole my inheritance thinking I was too weak to stop them. They were wrong. I took everything back. And in the process I took something they can never recover. Their reputation, their integrity, their peace of mind, the knowledge that they betrayed someone who loved them and paid dearly for it. To everyone whose family has betrayed them over money. To everyone who's been told to keep the peace while being robbed. To everyone who's sacrificed for family only to be cast aside. You don't owe them your silence. You don't owe them your surrender. You don't owe them anything. Stand up. Fight back. Take what's yours. Not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. Because the greatest betrayal isn't what they did to you. It's what you do to yourself by accepting it. My siblings stole my inheritance while my father was dying. They thought I'd never fight back. They learned the hard way that the sister who'd been taking care of everyone was strong enough to take everything back. That's not cruelty. That's justice. That's refusing to be a victim. That's knowing your worth, and that's how you win.